What's up everyone? My name is Shaelyn and on this channel everything's all right and sometimes left. Welcome back to another cook with me video. This video is going to be slightly different than the typical cook with me video that I post because for this recipe I had to cook it at least 5 hours in advance to showing you the final product. You'll understand what I mean when we get to that. But also when I post this video, it will be October 19th, which if you guys have been following me for a couple years or following me during the October time at all, then you know that I'm a Libra girly and my birthday is on October 20th. So tomorrow is my 26th birthday. Crazy, I'm getting really old. So happy birthday to me. But yeah, so for my birthday week video, I thought that I would make my favorite Italian dessert, Panna Cotta. I actually didn't discover this dessert until later on in life, in my 20s with my husband actually. I think that I might have had it before, but we have really grown to love it in more recent years, and I think we had it at a restaurant for our anniversary one year or something like that, and so I decided to make it at home for us so that we can enjoy it at home whenever we want. Maybe not whenever we want because it's honestly not good for you at all. It's basically just a lot of sugar. If you like anything that's creamy or kind of like a, not a jello texture, but like more creamy, then you will enjoy this recipe. And if you don't really care about calories or eating too much sugar, then you might enjoy this. And also if you like raspberry, you can also make this with a variety of different flavored toppings. So I'll put a few examples on the screen if you want to see that. Without further ado, let's jump right into it, shall we? So within this video, I'm gonna show you two different recipes, I guess. One is gonna be for Panna Cotta, and the other one is gonna be for raspberry coulis, which is essentially like a raspberry jam without the seeds, kind of. And I like to use it as a topping for the Panna Cotta. So you'll see that in the end, but let's get into the Panna Cotta first. First things first, I'll show you the little cups that I use. These cups hold 2/3 of a cup of liquid, and this recipe makes 4 of those cups. What you're gonna start with first is, I like to do 1.5 teaspoons of gelatin, and I use the Knox brand, and I put it in a bowl so that I can dissolve it into 1/2 cup of whole milk. You have to kind of stir that up for a little while until it seems dissolved. This might take a couple minutes, but just keep stirring until it's dissolved and then set that aside. So the next thing you're gonna do is I like to just do a pot, but you can do like a medium saucepan. You're gonna put 2 cups of heavy cream and 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract on low heat. You can do like medium low heat, I guess. That actually might be better, to be honest. Once you mix that all together, the next part is gonna seem like a lot, but it's part of it, just trust me. You're gonna add 5 tablespoons of granulated sugar to the pot. I like to kind of stir it up to mix it in, and I bring the temperature up to medium high because you want it to start simmering. Once the mixture starts to simmer, then you're gonna mix up the milk and gelatin mixture that you made earlier and pour that right in. So then you can give that a good mix and then turn off your heat and basically start partially filling your Panna Cotta cups. I like to leave just a little bit of space at the top just so that you can put the topping that you want to put on when you eat it, but you can leave as much space as you want. You can put as much of the topping as you want. Totally up to you. You could even do like 1/2 and 1/2 of Panna Cotta and the topping, but like I said, totally up to you, whatever you feel like you want to do. Next, I like to do this pretty immediately. I take plastic wrap or cling wrap and I cut it into 4 little squares so that I can seal off the tops. And trust me, you want to do this. You don't want the panna cotta to be exposed to air for too long, because it'll form like a solid film on the top and it's just not pleasant, and it's just how you keep it fresh. And so if you're wondering about storing this, it has to be sealed to last this long, but the panna cotta can last up to 10 days in your refrigerator, sealed. And that's it, just 4 easy steps to make panna cotta. And you want to leave them in your refrigerator for at least 5 hours before eating. So if you want to make this for dinner, start making it around like noon or 1 at least. Or if you eat dinner at 4, then you'll want to make it even earlier than that. But just my 2 cents about that. You guys can do the math for whatever you want to do. But let's jump into how I make raspberry coulis. Like I said, raspberry coulis is kind of like a raspberry jam, but like liquid consistency and no seeds in it. It's really good, honestly. If I have extra, which I usually do, because this makes much more than you'll need for 4 little cups, I'll put it on like muffins or like some kind of pastry. So good. Oh, if you like raspberries, you'll love this. I'm pretty sure you could make it with like a different kind of fruit, like maybe strawberry or blueberry maybe. I'm not really sure. Maybe Google that to fact check it, but I'm thinking it's probably the same process. So anyway, let's get into it. You're gonna need 5 tablespoons of castor sugar to start. I personally make my own castor sugar, similar to powder sugar. I think it actually might be the same thing, but I basically just put granulated sugar in a blender and blend it until it looks like it's starting to clump together. And then that's when you know it's the consistency of a powdered sugar or a castor sugar. But regardless, you need 5 tablespoons of that. You're gonna add this to a small saucepan or a pot like me. I like using pots just so that it's deep enough so that there's no spillage or anything like that. So on medium-low heat, you're gonna add 3 tablespoons of water and 2 teaspoons of lemon juice. And I'm impatient, so I stir it up to let it dissolve a little quicker. But it says to leave the mixture for 5 minutes to completely dissolve. You want to make sure there's no chunks or anything like that of sugar. You want it completely dissolved. And when it is fully dissolved, you'll notice that it's completely clear. It almost looks like water. And during those 5 minutes of waiting for it to dissolve, you can get started on your raspberries. You're gonna need 1 cup of raspberries. The recipe calls for 1.5 cups, but I think that that's not really necessary. A cup does the trick for me every time. But while you're waiting for it to dissolve, you can wash your raspberries. I used frozen raspberries this time because the fresh ones I had in the fridge got moldy. Prep your raspberries, whether you have to put the frozen ones in a measuring cup to measure out a cup, or if you have to wash your fresh raspberries and measure it out to be a cup. So then once your sugar, water, lemon juice mixture is dissolved completely, add the 1 cup of raspberries to your pot or pan, and you're gonna leave it again. There's no amount of time for this. You really just gotta keep checking them. And then once they feel like they're squishy and they're about to break, if you just tap them, that's kind of how you know that they're ready to be mashed. Today when I was doing it, I accidentally left it too long because I was having a conversation with my husband and I completely forgot that I even had it on the stove. So they ended up boiling, I think, for a little bit. But honestly, that's kind of fine too. As long as they're squishy enough to be mashed, that's totally fine. So then step number 3 is to mash it. I use a meat masher or like whatever that, I think it is called a meat masher, but that's what I use to really mash it up. I'm very meticulous with this. I make sure there's absolutely no clumps left and all you can see is seeds in the pot with red juice, obviously. And yeah, once you're done mashing, take your time with this. It's a little bit therapeutic, so enjoy it while you're doing it. I take about 3 to 5 minutes to fully mash everything down to just seeds. And then once that's done, turn off your heat and you can remove the pot from the heat, or I just kept it on the same burner just because of my camera setup, honestly. But you can remove it completely from the heat if you want to do that. And then next, I set up a bowl. And if you have a sieve, this works. I don't know what the difference is between a strainer and a sieve, to be honest, but I use a little like small strainer. That's how I do this. But I put the strainer on the top of a bowl, and then I pour the mixture in, and I just start scraping with the back of a wooden spoon until I feel like I've done a good enough job. This can also be a long process, so take your time with it. Put on some music or put on a podcast and just keep scraping until you get the most out of the strainer that you can. Sometimes I'll be doing this for literally like 10 minutes before I feel like it's good enough and there's only seeds left. Today I was a little bit impatient and I didn't fully scrape all of it. I feel like I could have gotten a little bit more out of it, but it is what it is. And then to store, I basically just like to pour it into a mason jar and store it in my fridge like that. It's easy to use that way and easy storage, I guess, too. And then the raspberry coulis can store refrigerated in a sealed container up to 1 week. A little bit less than the Panna Cotta does, but now without further ado, let's get to tasting, because my raspberry coulis is in my fridge right now and it is ready to be eaten. And I've already eaten dinner, I'm full, so I'm ready for some dessert because everybody has a second stomach for dessert. Am I right? So, this is my Panna Cotta, nice and sealed and chilled for, what time is it? I think it's been about 6 hours, so that's perfect. Honestly, you could have eaten it an hour ago, but I was not done filming yet. And then this is the raspberry coulis. Give it a little shake. And I basically just put as much as my little heart desires. You don't need much at all because, like I said, it is very potent. And surprisingly, you do get pretty much a little bit with every spoonful, because when you dig into the Panna Cotta, it kind of just seeps down, you know what I mean? But yeah, I will take a bite for you guys. Oh my God, I didn't take a picture. Shit. Oh God. Once you start, you cannot stop. This stuff is so good. So as you can see, it's kind of like a Jello consistency. It's like solid like Jello, but also not fully solid. I should not be eating this with a white shirt, but I'll give you a little bit of a close-up. I'm shaking it so you can see the texture, I guess. Happy birthday to me. Okay, before I indulge and finish the other half of this, I was gonna try and give you guys some 26-year-old wisdom, but I don't got any. Actually, I did get a really nice comment on one of my videos a couple weeks back, and I feel like my response to it was really good advice for people approaching their 1-year anniversary of their stroke. So I'm gonna put it up on the screen if you're interested, if you can relate, or if you have the same doubts or worries, then hopefully this gives you some hope or a good advice. I don't know. I don't know why, but I feel empowered to share it because honestly, the comment made my day. So I'm really glad that I'm able to help give some people some hope about surviving after stroke. So here's to year 26 of me being on this planet. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, follow me on all my socials linked in the description down below, and I will see you next week for another new video. Or I guess next week is 2 videos, but I'll see you then. Okay, bye.